Good morning. I'd first like to start off by showing everybody a small clip. It may be disturbing to a few of you, but this actually is what occurs at a lot of our large farm organizations that distribute our animal products to our grocery markets. You can see this cow here is probably too sick to walk,
by the Humane
and
Society of the
led to the
United States
slaughterhouse.
uncovers abuse of down dairy cows, cows too sick or too injured to stand, at a California slaughterhouse. Meat to needy families and the
This meat that
elderly,
they're
as well
sending
as
out actually goes to school children, needy families,
See all this
low-income houses.
manure encrusting along the hide.
Public health expert Dr. Michael Greger points out the hazards of slaughtering down cattle.
At slaughter, when they're cutting through this hide, can introduce these fecal pathogens, Salmonella, E. coli, into the meat. Kind of playing, Russian roulette. When even one of these animals gets in the food supply, it can get into the meat of a number of hamburgers. By allowing downed cattle into the food supply, we're increasing the risk of human exposure to mad cow disease, Salmonella, E. coli, and other food poisoning bacteria.
This investigation.
So, with that said, let's talk about some of the problems. Diseases, infectious diseases that occur in these large farm organizations. In a 2004 article in USA Today written by James Van Trees, he states that epidemics such as the avian flu started and was created in large farm organizations that slaughter chickens and ducks by the millions. Avian flu is contracted by close contact with birds that are infected. So we can see how easy it can be contracted to humans and then spread throughout our population. Another problem is swine flu, as we've recently seen in the news just lately, the last outbreak that occurred. In a 2006 article in the journal Environmental Health, it states that farmers, veterinarians, and meat processors who routinely come in contact with pigs have an increased risk of infection from flu viruses that infect pigs. And it's very easy to contract it. You have people that are tending to these pigs that are infected, they go home, they give it to their family goes and gives it to their friends, and next thing you know, it becomes an epidemic. So these are major problems. Another major problem, mad cow disease. That's the one disease that can actually be contracted through ingesting the meat, through eating the meat that is infected. Swine flu and avian flu needs contact, but mad cow disease, you can eat the meat and be infected. In a 2009 article by the Food and Drug Administration, it states that people actually don't get mad cow disease. They get what is called Creutzfeldt-Jakob disease. The cows get bovine spongiform encephalopathy. That's BSC, and that's mad cow disease. When people eat cows infected with BSC, they get VCJD. So be careful, you don't want to be SOL, right? So, no, just kidding. But you have a low risk of actually contracting Creutzfeldt-Jakob disease, but the potential is still there. So we can see where the problem lies with treating these animals this way. So now that we've discussed some of the problems, let's look at the cause. Obviously, overcrowding. You see thousands of chickens here cooped up. You have dead chickens on top of live chickens, and this is the way that they treat our animals before they distribute it to our markets. In a book titled Vegan, written by Eric Marcus, he states that this overcrowding and these poor sanitary conditions actually contribute to the cause of avian flu. It's a perfect environment for the flu strain to incubate and spread through these chickens and then be spread to human beings. Also with pigs, in the same kind of environment. They're penned up in their lives in these tight little cages, forced to put their waste right underneath them and breathe toxic levels of ammonia and hydrogen sulfide from their waste, which just creates more hazard, creates more disease. You can see here a diseased pig. Probably, there could be many diseased pigs in here. And somebody has to go tend to these pigs. They have employees that tend to them. So you're tending to infected pigs and you're just infecting your employees. So this is the cause of the swine flu. We've seen the cause of the avian flu. Now when we look at mad cow disease, that actually occurs through what we feed them, which is pretty gruesome. In fact, in a let's see, where's my article? Got sidetracked now. Yeah. In a 2006 Food and Agriculture article, it states that feed for any food animal can and may contain cattle waste, swine waste, and poultry litter. So we're feeding them what they excrete. We're just feeding them the same kind of food they excrete. And then the animal can be rendered up and fed back to the animal. So these cows may be eating diseased cows, and even if they're not eating diseased cow, another animal may eat the diseased cow, be rendered and fed back to another healthy cow. So we're just creating these viruses to live and incubate within our food supply. And it's a very, very, dangerous cause, and obviously we've seen the problem of diseases. So, when we see how the diseases can be spread, we should be more aware of what we're feeding our animals. We should be more aware of how we're treating our animals. In a 2005 Seattle Times article by Emma Ross, she also states that mad cow could have been contracted from cows eating feed with human remains. So it shows that the concern for what we're feeding our animals is not the major point for these large farm organizations. They just want to profit. They just want to create meat and give it to you guys so you can all eat it, and they're happy because they're making money. They don't care how they treat their animals. So we've seen the problem. I've talked to you about some of the causes of the problem. Let's look at some of the solutions. Well, first of all, be more aware. Be more aware of where you're getting your food from. Organizations such as FACT is an organization that helps to end the routine of antibiotics in our food supply, to stop feeding our animals unhealthy foods, to stop mad cow disease, and pretty much to create a healthy farming environment so we can eat good food. Now you can contribute to organizations such as FACT so they can go to higher levels of authority to stop these organizations that are actually contributing to this unhealthy food supply coming to the population. Also, you can actually make a point to read the labels on where you're getting your food from. Make sure it's organic food. Make sure that your cows are coming from somewhere where they should be, grazing on natural grass and hay. That's a healthy cow right there compared to the other ones you've seen. So this should open your eyes to a new way of getting your food. Look at really where your food comes from. Free-range chickens. When you buy eggs, look for free-range chickens without pesticides and hormones and antibiotics. Look for where you get your pork from. So hopefully, after showing you a little bit of really what goes on in these large farm organizations, the problem that arises with the way that we treat them, with what we feed them, obviously you can see how the problem arises by how they're being treated. And hopefully this opens your eyes to being more aware of where you get your food and start looking to contribute to some organizations to put an end to these large farm organizations that treat our animals as you saw in the beginning of my speech.